So Madagascar is an island located in the western Indian Ocean, and it is the fourth largest island in the world, behind Greenland, New Guinea, and Borneo. Now, Madagascar, as many of you probably know, is a biodiversity hotspot and has over 80% endemism in several taxonomic groups. But due to a rising population and economic pressures, anthropogenic activities are increasing throughout the islands. And the result that this has is both biodiversity and livelihoods are increasingly jeopardized because of widespread habitat conversion and modification. So the challenges that we are facing in Madagascar include raising the global awareness of these biodiverse, remote, and threatened ecosystems, such as the spiny forests in the southwest and the mangroves up and down the coasts. The many species of wildlife that live within these ecosystems, but of course, the communities that also live in and around these ecosystems and are reliant on the goods and services that they provide. So a secondary challenge is increasing sustainable ecotourism. Madagascar has limited sources for revenue streams. Primary include tourism and continued resource extraction through activities such as mining. So by raising the global awareness of these ecosystems, we can help bring more visitors, but direct those visitors towards ongoing sustainable ecotourism operations. Now, this can help protect the ecosystems, and it provides livelihoods and important long-term non-donor-based funding. And a third challenge being faced relates to community conservation initiatives, so supporting ongoing and expanding these initiatives. So in concert with ecotourism, this can provide a financial base and community relations to catalyze community conservation initiatives. So addressing these challenges are Blue Ventures, which is a science-led social enterprise working with coastal communities on transformative approaches which both catalyze and sustain community-led conservation. Now, Blue Ventures has a diverse range of projects, including community conservation and the development of locally managed marine areas, rebuilding fisheries through temporary closures, tapping into international payments for ecosystem services through the Blue Forests Project, pursuing alternative livelihoods through aquaculture, and providing community health services and education and technical training. So this NGO started over 10 years ago in just one small village in the southwest of Madagascar on the coast. And it started through a marine science expedition, so through ecotourism. Now these expeditions gave back to the community and built up a financial base. And this financial base, in tandem with burgeoning community relationships, were able to catalyze community conservation in this one community. And over time, if you flash forward to the present, the approaches being explored spread to neighboring communities up and down the coasts to an area throughout the southwest now encompassing a place we call Volundriak, which means to live with the sea. And Volundriak is now one of the largest locally managed marine areas in the western Indian Ocean. And just this past August, it received nationally recognized MPA status as well. So all of these aforementioned conservation projects and activities are ongoing within Volundriak, and it provides a positive example of the impact that sustainable ecotourism can have to catalyze community-level conservation. So in partnership with Blue Ventures, Madagascar National Parks was established to conserve and sustainably manage a network of reserves and parks representative of the biological diversity and the natural heritage of Madagascar. This network includes 51 sites, totaling 2.2 million hectares. Now, of this network, 7 of these are UNESCO World Heritage Sites, 2 are Ramsar sites, and 2 are biosphere reserves. Blue Ventures, in partnership with Madagascar National Parks and the University of Antananarivo, participated in the Trekker program, and trekking occurred throughout the latter half of 2014 and into 2015. And it occurred in 29 distinct areas throughout the country, ranging from places like Ambaro and Banja Bays in the northwest to national parks such as in Dringatra further south. Now you can see in these images some lines in blue and white, and these represent the courses, the paths of actual treks in those particular locations. So throughout all these areas, trekking was occurring by water, by land, at times by zebu-pulled cart, and I'm told that it was made sure each night the trekker had a comfortable place to rest. And what this allowed us to do is build up a library of imagery representing these remote and biodiverse locations. Many of these places are already protected or have conservation activities ongoing within, but for many others there is currently no protection, and there's high levels of potential for ecotourism, for conservation initiatives. So the results of this trekking, as was launched this past May, it's Madagascar Street View highlights. You can see here representing these 29 sites. And it raises the public awareness of the biodiversity, the natural heritage, and the cultural heritage of Madagascar. And it brings exposure and supports existing protected areas and ongoing conservation initiatives. But perhaps more importantly, it also brings exposure to new areas such as on Banja Bay, where an imagery is helping support new ecotourism projects, which are hoped to catalyze conservation. So I'll end by just bringing up Madagascar Street View highlights. Okay, so this is the site, and it shows the imagery for these 29 distinct areas throughout the country. So I encourage you all to go explore this beautiful imagery. But I'd like to end by showing imagery for one site. This is Ambiki on Banja Bay in the northwest. And this is an example of one of the areas that currently is unprotected and is only just starting to have conservation initiatives pursued. Now, one of these is an ecotourism operation, which we hope will help catalyze conservation at the community level within northwestern Madagascar, building on what's been done in the southwest. So with that, I thank you for your attention.
Yeah, one practical question about autonomy. That it runs in battery. What's the duration of the battery when you are in the
Right. So I forget the exact amount of time, but I think Karen might be better placed to answer that. But I can say that the batteries lasted for at least several hours, and they gave us lots of batteries. So while the trekking was occurring, those involved in it may be away from a source of electricity for days at a time, but because they had so many backup batteries, it wasn't an issue.
Yeah, we equipped different projects with the appropriate number of backup batteries, or just overall batteries, depending on how remote the location is. But 2 batteries fit in the trekker, and fully charged, they offer 6 to 8 hours of trekking. So the idea is that's more than enough for one long day of trekking, and then you get home and they're lithium ion. I don't know, I'll have to check the voltage. But yeah, it only works with the specific batteries that we have. I mean, but yeah.
Collecting the information that is going to be online, is the community involved in the decision on what they want to be out, and also for the health and the education programs, tourism, health and education programs? Do you have a participatory approach?
Yes, so yes and yes. In terms of the actual trekking that took place in the communities that we work in, the community was not only involved with deciding where the trekking was occurring, but they were doing the actual trekking themselves to really engage them in the process. And in terms of the second question, yes.
Because participation has very different levels. One is just, okay, we're going to do this. Do you agree or not? Or is a community process that is leading to a decision on the project that you're going to develop on tourism, for example?
Yeah, so whether it's tourism or whether it's healthcare or education, the whole point is that ideas are simply suggested to the community members as potential options which they might want to explore. And if they want to engage in those options, they are directly involved in every aspect of it. Ecotourism being a good example. The people leading the coral reef surveys are people from the community, so they're trained up in the diving and in the science behind identifying the different species of reefs. Community health is a good example. Community members are trained up in various health issues of concern, like reproductive, for instance, and they're the ones that then go out throughout the wider region and distribute these materials. I'd be happy to talk more about the specifics, but the point is every aspect of those projects tries to be as community-centered as possible.